Commander Leah Vasquez stepped from the interstellar transport into a world of shifting light. The air shimmered faintly, as if the very particles were alive. Before her stood the translucent walls of the Kalari twins' home. The structure looked like a giant crystal bubble, reflecting the two pale moons of Kalari Prime. As she took her first steps across the smooth floor, the walls glowed in gentle blues and greens. Tiny prisms hung from the high ceiling, scattering sunlight in dancing patterns across the room. Velas and Orion, the alien twins, stood at the far end of the atrium. They were tall and slender, their skin a soft silver color that caught the light. Their eyes were large like polished gems reflecting every movement. They wore simple robes of flowing material that seemed to change color slightly as they moved. When they saw Leah, they bowed together, their heads lowering in perfect unison. Leah returned the bow with a polite nod. Though she had studied Kalari customs, she felt a flutter of nerves. This was her first time living among an alien people. A soft voice resonated in the room. It was the twins speaking together, their voices blending in a way that felt both soothing and strange. They spoke in Galactic Standard, the common language used by many species. Still, Leah detected a musical tone beneath each word. "Welcome, Commander Leah Vasquez," they said. "We have prepared this home for your stay. Please come forward." Leah walked slowly. The floor tiles made a faint hum under her boots, as if they welcomed her arrival. She carried a small bag with her personal belongings and the cultural guidebook she had studied again and again. Despite her training, she felt uncertain. This was no ordinary diplomatic mission. She would live here for an entire month, learning their customs and sharing human culture in return. The twins guided her into a larger chamber beyond the atrium. The walls here were lined with translucent panels that displayed changing images, fields of glowing flowers, spiraling galaxies, and scenes of Kalari life. The colors shifted gently, as if telling a story without words. In the center of the room was a low table made of crystal-like material. It glowed softly, as if it held some power within. Velas stepped closer to Leah and placed a delicate hand on the table. Light rose from the surface and formed a small, three-dimensional map of Kalari Prime. Leah studied it carefully. The planet's landmasses curved around vast seas of liquid crystal. Small dots marked settlements, all connected by winding lines that could be space lanes or energy conduits. The twins pointed to one region northeast of the largest crystal ocean. "Our home lies here," Velas said. "It is called the Prism District." Leah nodded, imagining the continent with its glittering seas and crystalline cities. She tapped a finger on the map, narrowing her focus. "I see. And this is where I will stay for the month, to learn and to teach?" she asked. Orion answered, "Yes. We hope you will share human ways with us, and we will share Kalari ways with you." As they spoke, Leah noticed the soft glow of bioluminescent plants in the corners of the room. Their gentle green light contrasted with the cool crystal tones of the walls. She felt a calm wash over her. There was something peaceful about this place, despite her anxiety. The twins led her further inside. The hallways were curved and seamless. There were no sharp corners, no harsh lines. Everything felt organic, as if the home had grown from the crystals itself. Leah ran her hand over a smooth wall panel. It felt cool, almost like glass, but more alive. She wondered how the Kalari had built such a place. They must be masters of crystal engineering. Leah was shown her quarters next. A small room with a window overlooking a garden of shimmering crystal flowers. The petals looked like glass but did not cut or break. They seemed to pulse with a soft glow. In one corner stood a low cot made of woven fibers and covered with a blanket that reflected moonlight. A small table held a bowl of fresh fruit, round purple fruits she had never seen before. The twins explained that these were local delicacies, safe for humans to eat. Leah set her bag down and took a deep breath. She realized this room would be her home for 30 days. She would learn to sleep to the subtle hum of the crystal walls, wake to the fractal light displays, and try to understand a culture built on unity and shared thought. Velas and Orion returned to her side. They bowed gently and said, "Rest now. Tomorrow we begin the ritual of light." Leah nodded, though. She did not know exactly what the ritual would involve. She smiled politely and replied, "Thank you. I look forward to learning." As she settled on the cot, Leah thought back to the last time she had felt so uncertain. Her first day at the academy, when she had studied alien languages and customs from a cold, gray classroom. Now she was here, surrounded by living crystal, with two alien twins as her hosts. The experience felt like a dream. When she closed her eyes, Leah could still picture the translucent walls and the prismatic patterns of light. She could hear the twins' voices in harmony. For a moment she felt a longing to speak in tones she did not yet understand. But she reminded herself that she was here as a human ambassador. She could not mimic their way of speaking. She would bring her own strengths to this mission. The next morning, rays from the twin suns filtered through the walls, painting the room in soft gold and violet. Leah rose early, eager to prove herself. She dressed in light, breathable clothes, human style, but modest enough for alien guests. Carrying her notebook, she found Velas and Orion waiting outside her door. They wore ceremonial robes that glowed faintly with embedded filaments of crystal. Leah followed them down the hall to the central atrium, where dozens of small prisms hung from a latticework ceiling. Sunlight fell on the prisms, splitting into rainbows that danced across the polished floor. The twins took their places at opposite ends of the atrium. Leah stood in the center, feeling the warmth of the light patterns on her skin. Velas spoke first. "The ritual of light begins with attuning our energies. We welcome you, Commander, to join us in synchronizing our frequencies." Orion lowered a hand, and the prisms began to rotate slowly. The light shifted, pale green, soft blue, and gentle violet. Leah watched the colors dance, feeling a sense of peace she had never known. The twins lifted their arms, palms facing upward, as beams of colored light rose from the floor and passed through their bodies. Leah felt a tingle as a beam of violet light enveloped her, as if the prisms recognized her presence and included her in their dance. For a few quiet moments, there was only the hum of the prisms and the rustle of energy in the air. Leah closed her eyes and tried to steady her breathing. She felt connected to something larger than herself: the twin suns, the crystal walls, and the beating hearts of the two aliens who waited for her guidance in human ways. Then, Velas spoke softly in human words. "Breathe, Earthchild. Feel the light." Leah inhaled deeply. The light seemed to pulse with her breath, as if the prisms and her lungs were in harmony. Orion hummed, a gentle, resonant tone that felt like healing water. Leah joined in with her own hum, rough and human, but sincere. When the hum ended, the prism slowed and the lights dimmed to a soft glow. Leah opened her eyes to see Velas and Orion smiling gently. The ritual had ended, but Leah felt as if something new had begun, a bridge between human and Kalari. As she followed the twins back to her quarters, Leah realized that the next 30 days would not be easy. She would learn strange rituals, attempt odd foods, and navigate unspoken bonds between the twins. But for the first time since stepping off the transport, Leah felt confident. She was here not just as a student but as an ambassador, and she would show the Kalari that humanity had much to share, even on a world bathed in crystal light. Leah Vasquez woke early on her second morning on Kalari Prime. Pale sunlight filtered through the crystal walls of her room, painting soft rainbows on the floor. She dressed quickly in simple human clothes, mindful of modesty in this alien home. Outside her door, Velas and Orion waited in robes of shifting color. They smiled as Leah stepped into the hall. Today marked the start of her first full week, living with the twins. Their home felt more familiar now, but Leah still felt a thrill of nervousness in her chest. She followed them down curving corridors toward a larger chamber. This room held rows of prism-like devices hanging from the ceiling. Thin beams of light passed through these prisms, creating patterns that floated on the floor like dancing specks of stardust. Velas spoke in his gentle voice. "Commander, today you join our daily meditation of sound and light. This ritual helps us align our thoughts and energies. We hope you will try." Leah nodded and stepped into a glowing circle on the floor. Orion moved to the opposite side of the circle. They stood like mirror images. The prisms above them hummed and the floor glowed softly in pale blue. Leah took a deep breath and recalled the tonal patterns she had studied. When Valus began to hum a low note, Leah tried to match it. Her human voice sounded rough by comparison, but Valus and Orion did not frown. Instead, they adjusted their own tones to welcome her. For several minutes, the three of them spoke in hums that rose and fell like waves. Leah felt a warm vibration in her chest. The light from the prisms brightened as the tones grew stronger. Soon, Valus added a second note above his first, creating a gentle harmony. Orion followed, blending his pitch to fill in the melody. Leah tried to follow both notes, but her voice stumbled. One of the prisms above quivered and a tiny crystal shard dropped to the floor. Leah froze. She had broken part of the prism without meaning to. The crystal shard lay at her feet, glittering in the light. She knelt and picked it up, her hands trembling. "I am so sorry," Leah whispered. "I did not mean to break it." Valus lowered his gaze. His eyes, normally calm and reflective, showed surprise. Orion tilted his head in mild concern. Leah expected anger or disappointment, but neither came. Instead, Valus laid a gentle hand on Leah's shoulder. "Accidents happen, Commander," he said softly. "We will repair it." Orion nodded and adjusted a small tool that hung at his waist. Leah felt relief wash over her. The twins' reaction taught her something important. They valued the intention behind actions more than perfect execution. She handed the shard to Orion, who examined it and smiled. "A moment's disharmony need not break our bond," he said. Leah managed a small laugh through her nerves. After the shards were fixed, the trio resumed their meditation. Leah focused on matching her breath to the twinned hums. The prisms glowed bright white, and Leah felt the tension leave her shoulders. When the meditation ended, Valus and Orion guided her to a low table made of woven crystal fibers. On it sat several small, sharp crystals arranged in a spiral. "These are healing shards," explained Orion. "They mend broken crystals by drawing energy to the site of the fracture. Place the shard on the spiral and it will rejoin in time." The twins gestured and the shard floated into place. Leah watched as the tiny crack closed under a soft beam of violet light. When the process finished, the prism glowed steadily once more. Leah touched it lightly, marveling at its strength. "That is beautiful," she said. "On Earth we might use heat or glue. But this method feels alive." Valus smiled. "Kalari crystal responds to sound and light. Our tools are attuned to our needs." He paused. "Now we share with you part of our daily life. We wish to learn about yours." Leah's eyes brightened. "I would love that." She led the twins back through the corridors to the small kitchen area near her quarters. The kitchen consisted of a smooth counter made of dark stone. A glowing panel on the wall provided light. Leah carried a small crate of earth ingredients that she had brought from her transport. Packets of dried grains, spices, and a canister of purified water. "I will prepare a simple nutritional paste," she told the twins. "It is like a thick gravy made from grains. It is quick to make and provides energy. It is common in emergency rations on Earth." Valus watched carefully as Leah measured grains and water into a small pot. She lit a burner under the pot, and steam rose as the grains softened. Orion circled them slowly, holding a spherical recorder that projected a faint blue light. Leah stirred the paste, adding dried vegetables and a pinch of salt for taste. As the mixture thickened, the aroma filled the air. When the paste was ready, Leah spooned small samples onto 3 flat dishes. The twins each took a dish and studied. Valus raised a dish to his lips and tasted. His eyes widened in polite surprise. He closed his eyes, savoring the flavor. Orion hovered his hollow recorder closer, as if capturing every nuance of the moment. Before tasting, Orion looked at Leah and nodded in thanks. Leah took a small bite of her own paste. She had cooked it many times on Earth, but here, under the twin suns, it felt different. She watched Valus and Orion eat, noting their careful, quiet chewing. They both used small spoons made of polished crystal. The twins' faces revealed delight in the unfamiliar taste. "It is nourishing," Valus said. "We do not need food as you do. Our bodies draw energy from light, but this tastes comforting." Orion spun his recorder gently. "We record sensory data for study," he explained. "We wish to understand human tastes, textures, and scents." Leah smiled at his formal explanation. "On Earth, we eat not only to survive, but to celebrate life and community," she said. "Food brings people together." She invited the twins to eat more, and they did so slowly, allowing each bite to become part of their understanding of human culture. After eating, Leah wiped the dishes and stored the remaining paste in a sealed container. She noticed a floating orb of light near the kitchen's edge, an ambient sensor that monitored air quality. She wondered if the twins recorded her behavior at all times. A faint chill ran up her spine. Did they see everything she did? Still, she relaxed when the twins complimented her cooking and asked for the recipe. Later that afternoon, Leah joined Valus and Orion in the garden of bioluminescent plants. These plants glowed gently, their leaves and petals emitting soft, green light. The air smelled faintly of fresh rain. The twins moved among the flowers, touching petals with reverent care. Leah followed, mindful not to crush any roots. Valus knelt before a flower with a long, thin petal that pulsed with light. He placed his hand above the petal. It glowed brighter, shifting from green to pale blue. Leah gasped in wonder. The twins explained that their touch could influence certain plants and crystals, channeling their energy. Leah reached out and gently tapped a nearby petal. It brightened for a moment as if greeting her. "You see?" Orion said. "Kalari connect to our world through light and vibration. Even a gentle touch can change a living form." Leah nodded, feeling a thrill of discovery. She felt tiny vibrations run through her fingertip as the plant pulsed. She marveled at how different life could be on another world. The afternoon passed, quickly. As dusk approached, Leah and the twins returned indoors. The corridors grew dim, illuminated only by faint lines of light embedded in the walls. Leah stopped at a viewing port overlooking a crystalline lake outside. The lake reflected two pale moons, making the surface look like floating stars. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the halls, a low, rhythmic chime that vibrated underfoot. Leah's heart raced. Valus and Orion exchanged quick glances, and the prisms in the corridor walls darkened. Leah felt the temperature drop slightly as the light patterns dimmed. Valus's voice was calm but urgent. "A solar flare is approaching the prism district. We must seek shelter." He took Leah's arm and led her toward a safety chamber down a narrow passage. The chamber's entrance sealed behind them as the floor rumbled. Inside, a soft hum of protective fields filled the air. Leah felt her pulse quicken. A solar flare could be dangerous. She braced herself against the wall as beams of charged particles struck the crystal hull. The sound was like distant thunder. Mingled red and violet light flickered through a small window. Orion monitored the readings on a handheld display. "Radiation levels rising," he said. "Shield integrity is holding. We will be safe." Leah nodded and stared at the swirling colors overhead. For several tense minutes, the storm raged. Leah gripped the edge of a bench. She felt small and fragile next to the twins, who seemed calm and confident. Then, as suddenly as it began, the storm eased. Light returned to the chamber's window, now a soft, pale glow. Outside the safety chamber, the corridor lights blinked back on. Leah followed Valus and Orion to the atrium where they stood beneath restored prisms. Light streamed through the devices, scattering into rainbow patterns across the floor. Leah exhaled. "I did not know a solar flare could be so intense." Valus nodded. "Kalari rely on solar energy. Storms remind us of the power and danger of sunlight." He paused. "You acted quickly. You did not hesitate to seek shelter. Your instincts have value here." Leah felt a surge of pride. The twin saw her actions not as clumsy but as wise. She realized that even with her human weaknesses, she could offer valuable perspective. That night, Leah lay on her cot, feeling the gentle hum of the crystal walls. She thought of broken prisms, healing shards, and the twins learning to taste human food. She recalled the solar storm and how quickly Valus and Orion had trusted her instincts. As she drifted to sleep, Leah felt a quiet certainty in her heart. She was not just a visitor. She was becoming part of something new, a bond between human adaptability and Kalari unity, and this bond, she knew, would grow stronger with each passing day. Leah Vasquez woke before dawn on the 14th day of her stay with the Kalari twins. Outside her window, the first pale glow from the twin suns began to filter through the crystal walls. She rose quietly, careful not to disturb the bioluminescent plants that provided a soft green light in the corners of the room. Leah dressed in simple, loose clothing and took a deep breath. Today she would join Valus and Orion in their nightly dream ritual. She followed a narrow corridor to the mind chamber, a circular room built entirely from clear, refractive crystal. The walls pulsed with faint white light, enough to see, without harsh glare. In the center of the chamber, 3 low cushions formed a triangle around a small crystal pedestal. On the pedestal rested a shallow dish of liquid light, glowing softly like captured moonbeams. Valus and Orion waited there, seated on their cushions, their eyes closed. When Leah entered, they opened their eyes and smiled. "Welcome, Leah," said Valus in quiet tones. His voice felt gentle in the still air. "Tonight we share our memories with you." Orion opened the dish's container and dipped 2 fine crystal wands into the liquid light. He handed one wand to Leah. "Place it on your forehead when you are ready," Orion said. "The dream sync will begin." Leah seated herself on the last cushion. She felt her heart quicken. She had read about Kalari dream sharing but never experienced it. She held the wand carefully and touched its tip to the center of her forehead. At once, a gentle warmth spread through her head. The chamber lights dimmed further, and Leah closed her eyes. In her mind, she saw her childhood home on Earth, a simple house made of wood, surrounded by tall pine trees. She felt the crisp scent of pine needles and heard her brother's laughter as they raced through the forest. She remembered the taste of warm bread fresh from the oven and the comfort of her mother's voice as she called them in for dinner. Leah's chest tightened with yearning. She realized she had taken those memories for granted. Then a new image appeared, Valus as a young Kalari child, standing in a cavern of glowing crystals. He placed his hand on a large, jagged crystal that thrummed with energy. Leah saw the crystal's inner light flicker as Valus's fingertips touched it. The young Kalari child smiled and hummed a gentle tone. The crystals around him brightened, echoing his hum. Leah felt a pulse of warmth in her chest and recognized pride and joy in Valus's eyes. Before she could speak, the dream shifted. Leah now saw Orion as a soldier during the gleaming cities built on crystal veins connected by bridges of light. Valus turned to Leah and spoke in soft tones. "Last night you saw our memories. Tonight you will guide us through a memory of yours." Leah's heart fluttered. She had never shared her Earth memories in such a direct way. She cleared her throat and touched the crystal shard from the mind chamber to her forehead. The shard glowed, and Leah closed her eyes. In her mind, she walked through a village fair on Earth. Colorful stalls lined a dusty path. Children laughed as they chased each other. Musicians played lively tunes on wooden flutes. The smell of fried bread and sweet fruit filled the air. Leah saw herself as a child, tasting honey from a spoon, her face sticky with delight. Valus and Orion's eyes were closed as they watched her memory. Leah felt a warm rush to share something so simple, so human. She looked at the twins and saw wonder in their gem-like eyes. She felt their respect and knew they valued every detail of her story. When the dream ended, Leah opened her eyes to see the twins gazing at her with gratitude. "Thank you," Orion whispered. "We never knew Earth could be so full of simple joy." Leah smiled. On Earth, we find happiness in small moments. We celebrate life with family and friends. Velas placed a gentle hand on Leah's arm. Your memories remind us that unity can be joyful, not just peaceful. We will remember this. As the sun set on Kalari Prime, Leah walked alongside the twins through a garden of glowing plants. The petals pulsed in green and blue. Leah reached out to touch a leaf, and it glowed brighter. Velas and Orion watched her with soft smiles. Leah realized that in sharing memories they had woven a bond stronger than any crystal. She felt hope in her heart for the days ahead, knowing they would face tomorrow together, human and Kalari, learning from each other in harmony. Leah Vasquez awoke to the soft glow of Kalari Prime's twin suns on the 15th morning of her stay. She dressed quickly in lightweight clothing, aware that today held more than routine lessons. As she stepped into the main corridor, she found Velas and Orion waiting for her beside a holoscreen that glowed faintly on the wall. The twins' robes shimmered in pastel hues, reflecting the morning light. "Leah," Velas said, his voice steady, "we have received a warning from the Prism District's command center. An unstable asteroid cluster drifts into our energy harvesting field. If the cluster collides with our crystal arrays, the entire district could lose power for weeks." Orion pointed to a holographic map displaying the asteroid cluster's trajectory. Dozens of small rocks rotated in a loose formation, their paths spiraling toward the large crystalline platforms that floated in orbit. Leah's heart quickened as she studied the map. The prisms collected solar energy for the region. Without them, much of Kalari Prime would be plunged into darkness. "I will help," Leah said, stepping closer. She tapped her comm device and called up her human pattern analysis software. "On Earth, we use predictive models to calculate safe paths through debris fields. I can adapt that here to guide your drones and ships." Velas nodded. "Your methods could be invaluable. We have drones, but they struggle to navigate erratic energy reflections in an asteroid belt. Your human algorithms might show a path we have not seen." Orion's eyes brightened. "Let us go to the command deck." He led Leah and Velas through a series of doors into a wide chamber. The command deck smelled faintly of crystal dust and hummed with soft power. At its center, a circular console displayed live feeds from drones, sensors, and distant telescopes. Technicians moved quietly, relaying orders in melodic Kalari tones. Leah approached the console and switched her comm device to projection mode. A green hologram of the asteroid cluster appeared. "The drones have plotted several possible routes," she explained, "but their S slid away from the station, following a narrow corridor of light that beckoned toward the cluster. As they approached the edge of the asteroid field, Leah activated her software. A translucent grid overlaid the ship's window, showing safe zones and danger zones in shifting colors. Red zones indicated high risk of collision or solar flare interference. Green zones marked safe passages. Leah leaned forward and spoke calmly. "Rena, increase thrust by 10% and turn heading 2 degrees starboard. The next safe zone is small but stable. We must hug the side of that large asteroid to minimize exposure." Rena adjusted the controls, and the ship responded with a gentle surge. Outside, they passed close to a jagged rock the size of a city. Leah held her breath as the rock's shadow passed over them, plunging the cockpit into darkness for a moment. Then sunlight glinted off another asteroid, causing a flash of bright light. In that instant, Leah saw a small drone drift off course. "Drone 3 is drifting," Leah said urgently. "Launch a correction burst to stabilize it. I will adjust our trajectory to avoid incoming fragments." Rena sent a command, and a drone emitted a pulse that nudged it back on track. Leah exhaled. The ship's sensors beeped softly, indicating that their course was clear for now. They reached the first damaged array, a series of crystal panels shattered by earlier collisions. Floating repair drones approached, their mechanical arms flexing, with precision. Leah and Rena watched from the cockpit as the drones aligned broken panels. Leah pointed out that certain panels needed healing shards like in the twins' home, small crystal pieces that could mend fractures if placed correctly. "Place the healing shards along the fracture lines at precise angles," Leah instructed. Use sonic pulses at low frequency to activate the shards. The drone operators followed her instructions. Tiny crystals levitated into place, and a soft pulse of violet light spread through the panels. For a moment, Leah thought the shards would fail, but then the fractures closed as if by magic. The panels realigned, glowing once more with solar energy. "Excellent," Rena whispered, eyes wide. "Your method worked." Leah allowed herself a small smile. "Now we push deeper." They navigated further into the cluster. Suddenly, a stray piece of rock veered toward the ship. Leah pointed out its path. "Brace for impact, 5 degrees port to avoid that fragment." Rena swerved expertly, and the rock passed by with only a faint vibration. Leah's pulse raced, but she remained calm. The twins had taught her the value of steady focus, even in danger. They reached the most chaotic part of the cluster where rocks spun unpredictably. Leah switched her software to real-time adjustments. Each second, new data streamed in, and she updated the ship's course. Outside, the stars and asteroids danced in a dizzying display. "Prepare for a solar reflection." "Surge," Leah warned. "On my mark now." A huge asteroid blocked one of the suns for a moment, sending a wave of reflected light into the cluster. Sensors beeped rapidly, warning of increased radiation. The ship's hull glowed red as shields strengthened. Leah directed Rena to angle the ship behind a larger rock. The rock's shadow shielded them just as the surge hit. Inside the cockpit, the light dimmed and Leah felt relief wash over her. After several tense minutes, the surge passed. The repair drones continued their work, and the ship moved to the next array. By coordinating human algorithms, calorie healing, shards, and careful piloting, they restored most of the damaged arrays. Finally, Leah guided Rena to the edge of the cluster. In the distance, the twin suns rose higher, casting warm light on the remaining crystals. The repaired arrays thrummed with energy again. Leah closed her eyes briefly, grateful that they had succeeded. Back on Kalari Prime, Velas and Orion greeted Leah and Rena at the spaceport. The twins' eyes shone with admiration. "Your human methods saved our people," Velas said quietly. "We could not have done this without you." Orion nodded. "You bring gifts of insight and courage. Kalari will remember this day." Leah smiled, feeling pride and humility at once. She realized that their cooperation had shown the true strength of two worlds working as one. As she looked up at the twin suns, Leah knew that humanity and Kalari could meet any challenge, so long as they faced it together. Leah Vasquez rose early on the 20th morning of her stay with Velas and Orion. Light from the twin suns filled her quarters, making the crystal walls glow softly. Today, the twins had invited her to explore the Memory Caverns, a place hidden beneath their home where Kalari history lived inside crystal tunnels. Leah felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She dressed in simple clothing and followed the twins down a winding staircase of polished crystal steps. At the bottom, a narrow tunnel opened into a vast chamber. The walls glimmered as if they held millions of tiny lights. Velas placed his palm on the wall and the crystal surface rippled like water. In response, the walls began to display shimmering images, holograms made of light. Leah gasped as she saw scenes of Kalari ancestors moving among glowing spires of crystal, their voices echoing in the chamber like a gentle wind. Orion guided Leah deeper into the cavern. "These are our memory imprints," he explained. "Each panel shows a moment from our past. The crystals store our history, our joys, and our sorrows. We call this place the Memory Caverns because it helps us remember who we are." Leah nodded, feeling the weight of history around her. They walked past an image of Kalari children running through a field of tall, thin crystals. The children spun prisms in their hands, sending flashes of light into the sky. Leah saw ancient cities built on floating crystal platforms, connected by bridges of dazzling sheen. She could almost hear the voices of Kalari philosophers teaching about unity and harmony. Suddenly, the images shifted. Leah saw a group of human explorers arriving on Kalari Prime centuries ago. They stepped off a small shuttle and wore bulky suits to protect them from the planet's strange atmosphere. One of the humans stood near a crystal spire and held out a hand in friendship. Leah's heart stopped. The human was her great-grandmother, Captain Maria Vasquez, who had led the first human Kalari contact mission on Earth. Leah felt a rush of pride and surprise. Shorian's voice was quiet. This amulet is a symbol of unity. It was blessed during the earliest days of our civilization. The prophecy says that a bridge builder will wear this amulet and guide our people toward peace with other worlds. We believe that human might be your great-grandmother. Leah stepped forward, feeling the polished floor beneath her feet hum with energy. She touched the crystal pillar, and it brightened under her hand. Her reflection danced in the facets of the crystal. For a moment, she felt as though she could hear the voices of past Kalari and humans speaking in unison. Leah's heart pounded. She was not sure if she wanted to be called a bridge builder. She had always believed her own choices had led her here, not fate or prophecy. Velas placed a gentle hand on Leah's shoulder. You need not decide now, Leah. We honor your great-grandmother, but we also honor you. If you choose to accept the prophecy, you will lead not because you must, but because you choose to. Leah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She remembered the days she had shared with Velas and Orion, the ritual of light, the solar flare rescue, and the dream sharing. She realized that each moment had taught her something new about herself and about Kalari. She felt warmth from the crystal pillar, as if it welcomed her. When she opened her eyes, tears were in her vision. She looked at the twins and whispered, I will choose my own path. I honor my great-grandmother's work, but I will decide who I am by my actions. Orion smiled, his gem-like eyes reflecting her own resolve. That is the human way. We respect your choice. Velas nodded. Your decision shapes the future more than any prophecy. We will walk beside you as friends. Leah felt a sense of relief and determination. She pressed her palm to the crystal pillar, and her hand glowed with a soft light. The cavern brightened in response, sending ripples of color across the walls. She realized that the crystals did not force a path on her. They simply revealed possibilities. She was free to choose, and that choice was her own. As they left the memory caverns, Leah carried the memory shard that Velas had given her during the dream sharing. The shard pulsed softly in her palm, reminding her of the connection she shared with the twins. Above them, the crystal walls shimmered with the history of 1,000 years. Leah knew she would remember this moment forever. Outside, the twin suns shone warmly over Kalari Prime. Leah looked at Velas and Orion and felt hope for the days ahead. She had seen the past, its triumphs and its pains, and she had chosen her own future. With her friends beside her, Leah felt ready to face whatever came next. Leah Vasquez woke before dawn on the 25th day of her stay with Velas and Orion. The twin suns had not yet risen, but soft violet light from the crystal walls filled her quarters. Today, Leah felt a spark of excitement in her chest. She had spent the past few days studying Kalari energy systems, collecting data on how their crystals conducted light and converted it into power. Now she believed she could combine human solar panel technology with Kalari crystal conduits to create a new kind of energy module. She dressed quickly in simple, light clothing and gathered her notes. As she stepped into the corridor outside her room, she saw Velas and Orion waiting, their robes glowing faintly in the pre-dawn light. Both twins wore gentle smiles, as if they knew Leah planned something special. Good morning, Leah, Velas said in his calm, even voice. You seem eager. Leah returned his smile. I have studied your energy arrays and brought some human concepts. I think we can design a hybrid module. It would use human photovoltaic cells and your crystalline conduits together. Orion's eyes widened. A hybrid design? We have tried to merge other technologies, but none have matched our efficiency. We would be honored to work with you on this. Leah led them down a gently curving corridor to a workshop space near the atrium. The room was bright with white light reflected from crystal walls. In the center stood a low table made of woven crystal fibers. Several hollow displays hovered above it, showing diagrams of Kalari energy arrays and Earth solar panels. Leah tapped a command on her comm device, and a green hologram of a standard Earth photovoltaic cell appeared. On Earth, Leah began, we use silicon-based cells arranged in layered sheets. When sunlight hits them, electrons move through the material, creating an electric current. It is like a stream of water flowing through channels. Velas leaned closer. Our crystals draw energy from light directly into our power grid, but Velas held a panel of photovoltaic cells steady, while Leah placed it gently on the adhesive. The cells glowed a faint green as ambient light passed through. This is delicate work, Velas whispered. He adjusted his grip, ensuring the cells lay flat without pressure. Orion mixed more crystal dust into the polymer, whispering a gentle hum to keep the mixture steady. The twins believed that sound vibrations improved crystal alignment. Leah listened in awe as Orion's hum sent tiny pulses through the table. She felt a subtle resonance under her fingertips. Once the first cell layer was in place, Leah guided the twins to add a thin crystal sheet on top. They pressed down lightly, feeling the adhesive settle between layers. Leah placed small weights made of polished rock on the corners to ensure even bonding. We let this set for a few hours, Leah said. Then we will wire the module and test it. While the layers bonded, Leah showed the twins how to wire the photovoltaic cells. She retrieved thin conductors made of silver from her kit. These wires carry the current from each cell. We will connect them in series to increase voltage. She carefully soldered joints using a low-temperature earth solder. As she did so, she remembered a habit from her home workshop, blowing gently on hot solder to cool it faster. Leah exhaled loudly, sending a small puff of warm air onto the joint. Orion looked at her, eyes wide. Velas placed a hand on his brother's arm and chuckled quietly. Your human customs are amusing and strange, Velas said softly. Leah smiled, feeling a touch of self-consciousness. On Earth, we blow on solder all the time. I did not think it odd. Orion inclined his head and made a humming sound that seemed almost like laughter. Your habit will be imitated in Kalari schools. We will teach our children how humans cool hot metal with breath. Leah laughed, feeling warmer than the solder itself. The moment lightened the intense focus of their work. She realized how different their worlds could be, yet how naturally they found humor together. By mid-afternoon, the adhesive had set. Leah wiped dust from the module's surface. The layered structure looked simple. A clear crystal base, a thin band of solar cells, and a crystal cover glazed in shimmering bonding material. Leah connected the wires to a small testing console. The console's lights flickered on as the module received light from the atrium prisms. Leah adjusted a control knob, and a soft glow spread through the module. It pulsed with multi-hued light, indicating that energy flowed through the cells, into the crystal conduits. The twins watched, eyes bright. It works, Leah whispered. She checked the readings on her device. The voltage and current metrics far exceeded the output of a pure crystal conduit, or a pure solar cell array. The hybrid design increases efficiency by nearly 20%. This is more power than we expected. Velas and Orion shared a look of wonder. Orion stepped forward and placed his hand on the module. A soft vibration passed through his palm. This light, it feels like it sings, Orion said. Your human technology has brought a new song to our crystals. Leah felt tears prick her eyes. She had always believed in human ingenuity, but she never guessed it could blend so beautifully with Kalari crystal art. I could not have done this without your guidance, Leah said, turning to the twins. Your understanding of crystal resonance was essential. Velas placed his hand on Leah's shoulder. Together, we have combined our strengths. This module will power many homes and research stations. You have given us a gift, Leah. Orion smiled. Human ingenuity is indeed marvelous. We will share this design across Kalari Prime and beyond. Leah Vasquez woke on the 30th day of her stay with Velas and Orion. Morning light from the twin suns filled her room in soft gold and violet. She dressed in clean, simple clothes and took a deep breath. Today was her last day on Kalari Prime. She felt both sadness and pride. She had learned so much and grown close to the alien twins. Now she would return to her ship, but her heart remained with the Kalari. Leah followed a winding corridor to the Grand Council Hall. The hall stood at the highest point of the twins' home. Its crystal walls rose like polished pillars. Light from the suns passed through, creating rainbows on the floor. Kalari elders and officials gathered there. Some sat on raised seats made of gleaming crystal. Others stood around the edge, watching quietly. At the center of the hall stood a raised platform where the twins waited with Leah. Velis wore a robe of deep purple, trimmed with silver filaments that glowed. Orion's robe shimmered in pale blue. Leah wore her human uniform, neat and formal. She carried the last gift she had prepared, a small hand-bound book of earth art and poetry. On its cover she had drawn a simple image of a twinned sun over a pine forest. As Leah stepped onto the platform, silence fell. Velis and Orion stood on either side of her. The council's leader, Elder Wren, rose slowly. His eyes looked like polished onyx. He spoke in calm, resonant tones. "Commander Leah Vasquez, you have lived with our people for a month. You have shared human ideas, helped our people in times of crisis, and shown respect for our culture. Today we honor you as a friend of the Kalari." Leah bowed her head respectfully. "I am grateful for your kindness. Living with Velis and Orion has been the greatest honor of my life. I have learned more than I ever imagined." Elder Wren smiled gently. He motioned to the twins. Velis stepped forward and held in his hand a small crystal pendant. It was shaped like a prism on one side and a solar panel pattern on the other. The two halves glowed with pale light. "We present this pendant to you," Velis said. "It is made from the same crystals that power our cities and the same silicon. As Earth's solar cells, it symbolizes the unity between our worlds." Orion placed the pendant around Leah's neck. The crystal settled against her chest, warm and bright. Leah felt its gentle pulse, as if it spoke in a language of light. She looked up at the council and spoke from her heart. "I accept this gift with deep gratitude. I will carry it as a reminder of our bond. From Earth to Kalari Prime, we have shown that kindness and curiosity can bring two worlds together." The council members rose and began to hum melodically. The hum filled the hall with a soft vibration. Leah recognized the melody from the ritual of light. She joined in, humming her human tone alongside the Kalari harmony. The prisms above them glowed in blue, green, and violet. For a moment, Leah felt as if she belonged not just to Earth, but to Kalari as well. When the ceremony ended, Leah embraced Velis and Orion. She felt tears on her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you for everything. I will never forget you." Orion pressed his forehead to Leah's in a gentle gesture of trust. "We will remember you, Leah. You are always welcome here." Velis placed a hand on Leah's shoulder. "Our worlds are now linked. When you return to Earth, you carry a piece of Kalari. We carry a piece of you." Leah settled into her shuttle later that day. She looked out the window as the crystal city grew smaller and smaller below her. The twin suns shone brightly, reflecting off the polished spires. Velis and Orion stood at the launch pad, waving until the shuttle rose above the horizon. Leah waved back, her heart heavy with both joy and sorrow. As the shuttle slipped into space, Leah opened the small book of earth art and poetry. She had left it on the twins' table earlier that morning. Now, as she read the crisp pages in zero gravity, she thought of pine forests and laughter, verses about sunrise and hope. She remembered the twins' amazement at human art and poetry. On Kalari, art came from sound and light, but earth art was filled with textures, colors, and words. Leah spent the flight studying her data and preparing reports. She wrote about the hybrid energy module, the rescue mission in the asteroid cluster, and the shared dreams in the mind chamber. She also included her personal reflections on cultural exchange. She hoped these reports would help future envoys learn from her experience. On the last leg of her journey, the shuttle docked at the human research station in orbit around Kalari Prime. Leah stepped out into the docking bay. A small team of humans waited to greet her. They wore standard uniforms and held clipboards with eager expressions. Leah returned their greetings with a smile. Commander Ruiz, a senior officer, approached Leah. "Welcome back, Commander Vasquez. We have been monitoring your mission. All systems are ready for your debriefing." Leah nodded. "Thank you, but first I want to ensure Velas and Orion know that I returned safely. Please send this message." She handed a small hollow transmitter to Commander Ruiz. "Tell them I am well, and that their pendant glows brightly with every sunrise." Commander Ruiz accepted the transmitter. "I will send it immediately. Welcome home, Leia." Leah stepped through the docking doorway and entered the station. The corridor lights were white and steady, unlike the ever-changing colors of the twins' home. She felt a moment of loss, but also a sense of purpose. She had been a bridge between two species. Now, her work continued. Over the next days, Leah attended meetings and shared her findings with scientists and diplomats. She described how the Kalari used sound to heal crystals and how humans used layered cells to capture sunlight. She explained the power of shared dreams to foster trust. Her simple, clear language helped her audience understand Kalari ways. As she spoke, Leah felt Velas and Orion with her. She could almost sense their gentle hum guiding her words. She realized that cultural exchange was more than sharing facts. It was about sharing hearts. When her debriefing ended, Leah stood before the viewport of the research station. Below her, Kalari Prime glowed like a jewel in the darkness. The twin suns cast pale light across oceans of crystal. Leah thought of the twins and all they had taught her. She touched the pendant resting at her throat. It pulsed softly, as if alive. Leah turned from the viewport and walked down the corridor. She felt a gentle determination. She knew that one day she would return to Kalari Prime, not just as an envoy, but as a friend. For now, she carried their light into the wider galaxy. She would tell Earth about the Kalari and tell the Kalari about Earth. She would continue to build bridges one step at a time, and somewhere far below, Velas and Orion watched the skies, waiting for the day their human friend would return. They too carried Leah's glow in their hearts, a reminder that unity was stronger than distance. Under the twin suns of Kalari Prime, a new era of friendship had begun, and nothing would be the same again.